38-year-old physician is behind bars for secretly recording a juvenile in a changing room within his office. Authorities said that around 2 p.m. on the 24th of January, Dr. Poligayed of Ava Rehab Clinic at 1342 East State Road 60, Lake Wales, Florida, asked a 16-year-old girl to get undressed and put on a gown before treatment. Police said that he then directed the minor to a specific changing room, which had a privacy curtain. Once undressed, she noticed a partially hidden ring camera with a blue record light on. Police said she continued with her appointment without mentioning the camera, but Dr. Gayed noticed her behaviour was off. Once she left the exam room, Dr. Gayed took the camera offline and deleted the footage. The following day, the victim told her parents, who filed a police report. On the afternoon of Monday the 29th of January, detectives executed a search warrant at the clinic, where they recovered a ring camera concealed in the patient's changing room. Detectives obtained an arrest warrant and took Dr. Gayed into custody. He was booked into the Polk County Jail on video voyeurism and tampering with evidence charges, both third-degree felonies. On Tuesday the 30th of January, Dr. Gayed appeared in court where his bond was set at $25,000, and he was ordered to have no contact with the victim. Authorities said that additional charges are anticipated as the investigation into the matter continues. 45-year-old Heather Steins is behind bars after a 40-year-old man's remains were discovered in her apartment. At 7:10 p.m. on Monday the 22nd of January, authorities responded to Heather's fourth-floor apartment at 2069 Nostrand Avenue in Brooklyn, New York, after receiving a tip from someone who saw what appeared to be a human head in a black bag in the refrigerator of her home. When officers arrived at the residence, they went inside and found a fridge with tape on it. One of the officers asked about its contents, but Heather began arguing with police and pleaded for them not to open it. She was ultimately removed from the apartment. Police opened the fridge and found multiple black bags in the fridge full of body parts. Heather said her husband Nicholas McGee fatally attacked a man in September during a fight over drugs, and his remains had been stored in the fridge for several months. Heather claimed that she did not witness the murder. Heather, who has outstanding petty larceny warrants, was taken into custody and sent to Brooklyn Hospital for psychiatric evaluation. At around 3 p.m. on Wednesday the 24th of January, Heather was charged with concealment of a corpse and booked into jail. On Thursday the 25th of January, Heather appeared in the Brooklyn Criminal Court and pleaded not guilty to the charge and remains held on a $50,000 bond. Nicholas is currently incarcerated in Chesapeake, Virginia on unrelated charges of identity theft. The medical examiner identified the victim from a photo, his distinctive gang tattoos, DNA fingerprints as 40-year-old Korshin Gelzer. His cause of death has not been officially determined. Korshin has a criminal history and is a registered sex offender. He's been arrested at least 5 times, including serving 2 years in prison after being convicted of the abuse of a 12-year-old boy in 2005. No additional charges have been filed against Nicholas or Heather at this time in relation to Korshin's death, as the investigation into the matter continues. A 31-year-old man will spend the rest of his life behind bars for strangling and fatally bludgeoning his 29-year-old friend with a hammer in 2021. On Monday the 29th of January 2024, a jury in Ellis County, Texas convicted Trenton James Adams of capital murder of Jordan Ryan von Hoffman. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole. On Wednesday the 24th of March 2021, Jordan's sister and friends were worried about him when he did not show up for work and had not returned to his home. Friends knew that he had travelled from Maybank, Texas the previous Saturday to return a truck back to Trenton. That afternoon, the victim's sister and friends went to the location where they believed Trenton had been staying in the 6900 block of Ensign Road in Ennis, Texas, and while searching the area, they noticed the truck but did not see Jordan or Trenton. With permission from the owner of the property, they looked through the trailer on the property and in the shed. Inside the shed, they discovered what they believed to be a body wrapped in contractor plastic, a tarp covered in paint, and in a trash can. They also discovered another trash can wrapped and hidden. At 4:20 p.m, they called 911 and deputies arrived and began an investigation. The medical examiner's office later determined that the body in one of the trash cans was 29-year-old Jordan von Hoffman, and his death was ruled a homicide. His cause of death was due to compression of his neck and blunt force trauma consistent with being hit in the head with a hammer. Jordan had severe trauma all over his head and body, and had also been hog-tied with his arms and legs bound behind his body. In the second trash can, investigators discovered a hammer believed to be used on the victim, as well as bloody gloves and other items. Investigators found items in the trailer and trash cans that were purchased from Home Depot. Home Depot surveillance video showed Trenton and another person purchasing trash cans, paint, contractor plastic, gloves, and other items the day before and on the morning of the murder. Lab tests indicated that Trenton's DNA was inside the gloves, and Jordan's DNA was on the hammer and on the gloves. Phone and Facebook records show that during the same time that the items were purchased from Home Depot, Trenton and the other person were messaging and calling Jordan, encouraging him to come over. Authorities obtained a warrant for Trenton's arrest, but he fled the area in a black 2011 Jeep Compass. He had travelled through San Marcos and Fort Worth, and at around 8 a.m. on the 8th of April 2021, officials located him in an apartment complex in Houston and took him into custody. While on the run, Trenton called dispatch multiple times confessing to the murder. He also posted on Facebook admitting to the murder, but saying that he did it because he found out that Jordan hurt a child, which investigators determined was not true. Following his arrest, Trenton told investigators that he did not murder the victim, but that a South American cartel was responsible, and they made him move the body. Trenton later sent a letter to Ellis County District Attorney's Office, in which he again admitted to the murder, saying he worships death and that he carries out rites and rituals of satanic worship, including blood sacrifices. Further investigation revealed that Trenton believed that Jordan and Trenton's girlfriend had engaged in a sexual encounter prior to the victim's death. Ellis County District Attorney Ann Montgomery said, "I'm pleased that justice was served for Jordan and his family. I'm also thankful that Trenton Adams will never walk freely in Texas again." A former Target employee will spend the rest of his life behind bars for fatally stabbing and bludgeoning his co-worker. On the 30th of January 2024, a judge in Fairfax County, Virginia sentenced Bazen Burhay to 100 years in prison, with 30 years suspended for the first-degree murder of 58-year-old Hernan Lever. Bazen pleaded guilty to the charge in October of 2023. At around 3:30 a.m. on Saturday, the 17th of April 2021, authorities responded to the Target parking lot of 5115 Leesburg Pike in Baylor's Crossroads, Virginia, where they found Hernan unresponsive with stab wounds and blunt force trauma to his upper body. Officials pronounced him dead at the scene. Authorities said that on Wednesday, the 14th of April 2021, Bazen became angry with his co-worker Hernan, who worked as a janitor at Target, because he allegedly stole his lunch from the office refrigerator. The next day, Bazen bought a hammer and 2 knives while leaving his shift at Target, and spent the following day training for the murder. In the early hours of the 17th of April, Bazen Burhay went to the Target parking lot waiting for Hernan to arrive. When the unsuspecting victim showed up to work, Bazen stabbed and bludgeoned him to death before fleeing. A short time later, Bazen returned to the parking lot and turned himself in to police and confessed to the murder. At the sentencing hearing, Bazen threatened to kill or hurt other people if he is not given the harshest possible sentence. Fairfax County Commonwealth Attorney Steve Descano said, "Mr. Lever's unnecessary and tragic death leaves behind a grieving family and community, one that will never be the same after such a senseless act of violence." A married couple are behind bars after an 8-year-old girl was fatally beaten with a rolling pin. At around 2:16 p.m. on Tuesday, the 30th of January, authorities responded to a medical call at a home at 3667 Vine Springs Trace Southeast in Bethlehem, Georgia, and found 8-year-old Sarah Barras deceased at the scene. Police said the girl had been home alone with her stepmother, 34-year-old Natiela Barros, and suffered some kind of medical emergency. Natiela contacted the girl's father, 37-year-old Claudia Mendez Barros, who came home and found Sarah unresponsive, called 911 and attempted CPR on the girl. Police arrested Natiela and charged her with first-degree cruelty to children, aggravated assault, felony murder and malice murder. The next day, Wednesday the 31st of January, Claudia was arrested on charges of second-degree cruelty to a child and second-degree murder. They've both been held at the Gwinnett County Jail without bond. Authorities said that Natiela was angry and hit Sarah with a wooden rolling pin 10 to 20 times, refusing to get her medical care afterwards, and the incident resulted in her death. Sarah sustained injuries to various parts of her body, including the top part of her neck. Investigators said that Claudia was aware the child was abused and continued to leave her unsupervised with her abuser. When he was made aware that the child was having a medical emergency, he did not seek medical care. The child died as a result of this negligence. The investigation into the matter continues. A 42-year-old man faces child sex charges after he abused a 14-year-old girl. On Tuesday, the 23rd of January, Daniel Pascoe of Michigan City, Indiana was arrested and booked into the LaPorte County Jail on 2 charges of child molestation. The incidents occurred in July of 2023, while the girl and her mother were in between housing and stayed at various Michigan City hotels after being evicted the month prior. The extent of the abuse also included Daniel requesting multiple pictures and videos of child sexual abusive material involving the girl. During a court hearing on Tuesday the 30th of January, Daniel pleaded not guilty to the charges. He was released from jail after posting a 10% cash option on his $10,000 bond, with the condition of GPS monitoring.